You ever notice how YouTube keeps feeding you 2-hour compilations of a man whispering about history like he's trying to seduce you into a nap? Trust me, bro. Cozy night. Bed rotting. Yeah, 2 hours of that. 2 hours of a guy in a fake beard telling you Viking soul swords were a myth and then, oops, actually they were real. And you're supposed to feel enlightened. You are not cozy. You are being lobotomized by the least ambitious genre on the internet. And the history they're spoon-feeding you, it's not just simplified, it's neutered. They took Vikings, literal psychopaths who put dead people in forges and turned them into a sleep-aid soundtrack. So the first Dr. Sardonicus. I run the Midnight Meme Historian. And the first am here to take that cozy little blanket, yank it off, and shove the actual story down your throat. Ready? Good. Rot faster. Act 1. The Ghost Sword Lie Factory. Let's start with the Vikings. According to our whispering friend, there's this thing called a soul sword. He admits the term is made up. He literally says, it's just a word I'm using. So you're watching a history video where the historian invents the terminology and you don't click off. That's like watching a cooking show where the chef says, I call this ingredient flavor dust, it's not real, but go with it. Anyway, the real story, Scandinavians had garbage iron, bog iron, iron harvested from bacterial swamp shit, soft, impure. A sword that bends if you swing it too hard. Imagine showing up to a knife fight with a pool noodle. They knew the metal sucked. They didn't know why. No chemistry, no metallurgy, just vibes. So they started grinding up the bones of dead enemies. Dead ancestors, probably dead neighbors who owed them sheep. They mixed the bone dust into the forge. Why? Because they thought the spirit of the dead person would make the sword stronger. They were trying to make haunted weapons. Literal ghost swords. Historians looked at this for centuries and laughed. Oh, those silly Vikings. Believing in souls. Adorable. Totally ineffective but cute. Then someone actually tested the swords. Turns out, bones contain carbon. Carbon plus bog iron equals steel. The Vikings, in their quest to build a sword that could whisper to them at night, accidentally discovered rudimentary steel forging. They thought they were necromancers. They were actually chemists. I want you to picture the moment that scientist looked at the mass spectrometer results. He's standing there in his lab coat, coffee getting cold, and he just, oh no, they weren't wrong. They were stupid but technically correct. That scientist had to rewrite his entire lecture series. Every fun fact about Viking superstition, trash. Every smug aside about their primitive spirituality, garbage. They made steel from bodies. On accident. And you sat there listening to a man in a fake beard call it a soul sword, like it was a Harry Potter prop. Act 2. The carbon doesn't care about your feelings, but here's where it gets even more embarrassing for everyone involved. The Vikings didn't just do this once. They did it for generations. They refined it. They passed it down. Grind the bones. Add to the fire. Sword gets harder. They didn't know why. They didn't care. They just knew it worked. Meanwhile, modern historians sat in their climate-controlled offices and said, ah yes, a spiritual ritual. No material benefit. And they said this without testing the swords. For centuries. This is like finding a car engine and saying, cute, they probably just liked the sound it made. The carbon didn't care about Viking theology. It didn't care about medieval cosmology. It just sat there in those bones, waiting for some idiot to throw it into a fire, and when it happened it said, fine. You get steel, but you're still idiots. That's the actual history. Not cozy. Not a bedtime story. Just a long, unbroken chain of people being wrong, and then finding out they were wrong and then pretending they knew all along. And you're supposed to trust me, bro, after that. Act 3. The lion box. Now let's talk about Rome. Specifically the Colosseum. Specifically the thing that should have been obvious to anyone with a pulse. For decades, historians said gladiators never fought lions. Oh sure, there were mosaics, paintings, art of a guy with a sword facing a big cat. But no physical evidence, so they called it symbolism, propaganda. They just wanted to look tough, right? Because the people who flooded the Colosseum to stage naval battles with boats, Inside a stadium definitely drew the line at importing a few tigers. Too dangerous, said the historian who never had to clean an arena floor. Anyway, in the early 2000s, archaeologists dug up human bones from the Colosseum. Animal bite marks, big cat, puncture wounds consistent with a lion or tiger trying to crack a femur like a crab leg. These bones sat in storage for 20 years. 20 years. And during those 20 years, historians continued to confidently say, there is no evidence gladiators fought animals. In 2025, someone finally published the article. Hey, remember those bones with the lion teeth in them? Yeah, that's evidence. So for 2 decades, academics sat on a box full of proof and said myth. Not because they were malicious, because they were lazy. Because the story they liked, the sanitized, symbolic, cozy version, was easier to teach. Let that land. Your cozy history compilations are built on a foundation of academic inertia and a box of bones nobody bothered to look at. Act 4. The cozy industrial complex. So now you have this genre. 2 hours of a man whispering about "trust me bro" compilations. Tags like "bed rotting." A description saying "enjoy and learn on a cozy night." You know what else is cozy? A funeral. You know what else is 2 hours of low-energy mumbling? A hostage video. These channels, and yes, I'm talking about the one this transcript came from, the one that insists, I'm not a content pirate, this is my official channel. They're selling you the idea that history is comfortable, that you can lie in bed, half asleep, and absorb facts like they're melatonin gummies. But history isn't comfortable. It's Vikings grinding up their enemies to make haunted swords that accidentally revolutionized metallurgy. It's Romans throwing criminals to lions while academics in the future ignore the bite marks. It's centuries of people being violently, hilariously wrong, and then other people being wrong about them. The "trust me bro" guy is just the latest wrong person. He's not malicious, he's just shallow. He read the Wikipedia summary, watched a documentary, and decided that was enough to whisper at you for 2 hours. But you came here, to me, Dr. Sardonicus, the guy who reads the actual reports, the guy who laughs at the mass spectrometer results, the guy who looks at a box of lion-bitten bones and says, "So what else did you miss? Out row, go back to rotting, so here's what actually happened." Vikings made steel by accident while trying to make ghost swords. Historians called it superstition until science embarrassed them. Romans absolutely fed people to lions, and academia ignored the evidence for 2 decades. And the guy in the fake beard is still out there, making compilations, hoping you'll trust him. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to laugh at everyone involved. The Vikings for being accidentally competent. The historians for being deliberately blind. The YouTubers for thinking cozy is a valid tone for talking about bone carbonization. And you're rotting in bed. That's fine. Rot away. But at least rot with better information. If you want more of this actual history served with contempt, punchlines, and zero tapestry metaphors, you know where the subscribe button is. Hit it, or don't. I'm going to make fun of you either way. This is Dr. Sardonicus, Midnight Meme Historian, signing off. Go back to your 2-hour compilations. I'll be here waiting with the next box of bones they forgot to open.